Welcome to Sports for Casuals episode 1. On our first episode, we're going to be going over the action-packed weekend that we had in college football. We're going to be talking Ohio State, Texas, Arch Manning, Lanoris Sellers, LSU, Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami. We're going to be talking about all of that and some of the stuff you guys might have missed out on this weekend. Some big games that occurred, some big-time players. We're going to be going over all of that. We're also going to go over next week's slate, some of the big games that happen next week. Michigan versus Oklahoma. We'll be talking USF, Florida. We'll be talking Iowa, Iowa State, Missouri, Kansas. All those games. It's going to be a super fun college football weekend, and we're going to go over all of that. We're also going to go over the NFL. NFL Week 1 is here, baby. We are going to start with that Thursday night game, which this could come out on Friday morning, but we will see when this comes out. We're going to talk about Eagles, Cowboys. We'll talk about Bills, Ravens. We'll go over some of the biggest matchups of the week also. We're going to do some picks, and we're going to go over all that, and then we will finish up with my dogs of the week. We'll do my biggest dogs of the week, the top 5 guys that had the best performances of the week in any sport, any North American sport. We're going to go over all of that, and I'm super pumped up. This is going to be a great first episode. You are not going to want to miss this. This is Sports for Casuals, though. It's a new sports show that I am starting. I fully plan on having a co-host on here, plan on having guests on here, different fan bases, different creators, different people. It's going to be a sports show for everybody, man. It's for the people that know the most ball and some people that don't really comprehend ball that want to learn ball. You know, it's for everyone. It's going to be for everyone. It's going to be looking at sports from a fan perspective of what sports really is about and enjoying it, supporting your teams. It's going to be an awesome sports show, and I'm super pumped up to make it, man. It's going to be a fun time. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to like the video, make sure to help share it, man. Get out to your friends. I really would appreciate it. I'm going to start social medias for this channel. I will post in the description. But yeah, make sure to stay around because this is going to be fun. But we got to start with Ohio State and Texas. That was a game, man. It was a chess match between Matt Patricia and Steve Sarkisian. And Steve Sarkisian lost, man. Matt Patricia had him in a blender defensively. Their secondary was absolutely elite. I mean, when you have Caleb Downs on a defense, that defense is going to be elite. There was nothing that Texas team really could have done there. They were shut down. They were in a blender all game long. And they did get it going towards the end. Arch Manning had a couple of very impressive throws, but he looked very off. And it is his first real college start. He has played in some meaningful college snaps, but nothing like playing in the shoe, coming off a national championship. That is a tough Ohio State team that I need to play in against. I'm buying stock in Arch Manning still. I do believe in him still. I'm not going to say that this performance completely cost him or anything. It's definitely not the best performance. Everyone watched it. Everyone saw it. But I do think that Arch will bounce back, and I think towards the end of the season, he will get really comfortable, and I think that he will be a good player. It's just, he has to ease into it. The Manning last name really is unfair to him. It's very tough on him, and I do believe in Arch Manning still, and I don't think everyone should jump the gun. But this game was really won by Ohio State playing safe football. They did not commit any turnovers. They played smart. They played efficient. They kind of played a clean game too, and they made Texas make the mistakes. Texas made the mistakes, and that's how Ohio State won the game. They didn't make any bad mistakes. They played smart. They played to the best of their ability, and that really won them the game because they had those stops, that crucial stop on 4th and goal. They had all those big plays, and really when you look at the game, you look at, okay, Ohio State didn't make any turnovers. They didn't really win the game, but they made sure they didn't lose the game. And Texas, they were like, all right, Texas, you know what? We're not going to go out there and we're not going to dog walk you. We're not going to go out there and we're not going to just completely try and kill you with passes and everything. We're going to make you make the mistakes. And if you can come forward and beat us in our home and beat us at the shoe, then you deserve this win. And they couldn't. The defense was too strong. The offense did what they had to do. They scored 14 points and they capitalized when they had the opportunities. And that's exactly how they won this game. That's the story of the game right there. We are going to also talk about another big performance. We're talking about a performance here from a guy named Lanoris Sellers, man. Lanoris Sellers, what a guy. That was my Heisman pick heading into the year. And Lanoris Sellers delivered. On the first drive of the game, they went down the field and he had that rushing touchdown. I was like, all right, this game could get ugly. But, it didn't happen. Didn't happen. Virginia Tech's defense kept him in the game, but Lanoris Sellers made some big time plays. He would have had another touchdown, but Nick Harbor dropped that ball. He had some great plays. The bomb to Nick Harbor, some of the runs. He is truly a game breaker at that position. And, his offensive line really wasn't helping him. He had a lot of pressure and he had to, take some sacks and he had to make some big time plays, but he made a lot of big plays there. Credit to Virginia Tech though. Virginia Tech is the best team at losing. All right. Let me say that. They always find a way to lose these close games, man. I think they're like 1-11 in one-score games over the last 2 seasons. It is ridiculous. It was a one-score game until the punt return, but they just hang around, man. They are a team that you do not want to see. I do not care what their record is. They are a team that is they're going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out for many teams, and you guys will see that later on in the season. They should be a very solid ACC team, though. Their receivers were monsters, man. Their receivers were catching everything that was thrown to them. So I'm super excited to see how they are in the ACC play with drones. It's going to be a very fun year for Virginia Tech Hokie fans, and hopefully Virginia Tech gets it going, man. When Blacksburg is rocking, football is better. So, Virginia Tech definitely has some question marks there, but their defense played a very good game. The offense couldn't get the ball in the end zone, and that was the difference of the game. Another ACC team that we will be talking about based off, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it first. Alabama versus FSU. Oh my gosh. Alabama versus FSU, man. Tommy Castellanos. He said, oh yeah, they don't have Nick Saban anymore. They're not ready for me. He talked a lot of it. And guess what? He went in there and he backed it up. He defended home turf. He defended Doak, and he was really the real deal. He didn't have to do too much. I'm not going to lie. His stats aren't going to blow you out of the water. He didn't completely go crazy, but he made all the winning football plays. He made big-time throws. He made big-time third-down conversions. He did everything that he needed to do to win, and he just trusted his trenches, man. The run game was absolutely elite. I think they ran for, 250 yards against Alabama, who has one of the most talented defenses in the country. Talented. They didn't look talented there. They didn't look like they really cared for it. They didn't look like they wanted it, and that's what they saw. Kalen DeBoer now has pitchforks at his house, and I don't think he's going to get fired. I really don't think he will get fired. I think he will bounce back. And the thing is, he has a $70 million buyout, so I don't know how crazy Alabama is going to be to pay that off, especially during the season. But if he doesn't get it going, man, he will definitely be out of there. But I don't see him getting fired till the end of the season. But even if he still has a couple years left on his contract, but he needs to turn it around, because when you go from Nick Saban, the legendary Nick Saban, who's won so many games in his career, and you go to Kalen DeBoer, who's a great coach, don't get me wrong. We saw what he did at Washington with Penix Jr. We've seen what he's done in the past, but you do all of that. He has such tough shoes to follow. He has such tough shoes to fill. It's like, you're following up on that legend, Nick Saban, the greatest college football coach of all time. Like, how are you supposed to do that? And, he's lost a lot of games, and these Alabama fans have been winning for almost 20 years straight. It's like, how is he going to do this? How is he going to do that? So the Alabama fans just flip out, and it's just spiraling out of control right now. DeBoer is on pitchforks, but I really think it's a little of an overreaction. When you look at this game, they were just out physical. You can tell they were not disciplined, though, which is definitely a coaching thing, but they were definitely out physical at the line of scrimmage. Caden Proctor looked like a turnstile who's projected to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. He looked completely lost, and then the defensive line was just non-existent. And people blame this game on Ty Simpson. It was not Ty Simpson's fault. Ty Simpson actually played a pretty good game. It just, when you're number 5, or you're a guy that's projected to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, getting turnstile, dude, you're not going to win the ball game. It does not matter who is there. I mean, Ty Simpson was trying to make plays that were crazy, and he made some crazy plays. He made some good plays. Also, when your star receivers dropping 4 passes, I mean, there is a lot that went wrong with Alabama that was not Ty Simpson's fault. They couldn't run the ball, and he had to make a lot of plays with his feet. He actually looked quite well. I'm not going to lie to you. He made some errors where it's like, all right, this is his 3rd game starting college football, 2nd game starting college football. You can definitely see that, but I don't think it's his fault. I don't think it's his fault, man. I think Ty Simpson played a well game. It's just Alabama could not stop FSU. Time of possession was crazy. FSU did what they wanted to do, and they deserved that win. Is FSU back? We will answer that later on the season. They don't really have a test till Miami, so we could potentially get a top 10 showdown between Miami and FSU, which would be a crazy game. That would be a fun game, but we shall see, man. Talk about Miami, though. We talk about a little about the Canes here. The Canes looked great, man. They looked great. The trenches were really, really impressive. Watching Francis Maluga and friends on the offensive line, and then when you look at the defensive line, Ruben Bain, that was just really impressive. The front 7 really won that game for Miami, as the offense, they did what they had to do. That's a elite Notre Dame defense. That's one of the best secondaries in the country, led by Leonard Moore. They have, they're ran very, very well. They have a very good defense, and Miami was really smart. They didn't Carson Beck didn't, make too many turnover risky plays besides the one-handed catch, which that could have been a pick. Carson Beck played a very, very efficient football game. He played smart. He got the ball out fast, and he really trusted his receivers. Malachi Toney, man. Malachi Toney is a 17-year-old in his first game, played absolutely phenomenal. It was great to watch. It was super, super fun to watch, and they ran the ball very well. Mark Fletcher looked great. You had Brown in there. Lyle, I guess, got hurt or something. I was excited to see him because he is an explosive weapon for the Hurricanes. But the Hurricanes have one of the best offensive lines in the country, so I'm super excited to see how they continue to perform and how they continue to get more comfortable. That's the best secondary they're probably going to face all year long. So Miami is just going to get more comfortable, and that is definitely very scary. And they get the win. They get the vendetta off their back of that top 10 win that they've been looking for forever. Mario Cristobal's signature win in his career right there versus number 6 Notre Dame. And they dominated. They dominated the first 3 quarters. They let Notre Dame back into the game. So credit to Notre Dame for not quitting. And Miami gets that win. Notre Dame, on the other hand, coming off that loss, it definitely does sting a little because they did play a great fourth quarter. CJ Carr started to look comfortable. He made some good reads. He made some good throws. But you could tell they had the training wheels on CJ Carr until they needed to take him off because when it was they were down 14 going into the fourth, they needed to take the training wheels off because they knew they needed to create points fast. So CJ Carr had to get comfortable really, really quick, and he did a very good job. He made some good plays. He did what he was asked, but at the end of the game, that 1 minute drive, the Hurricanes pass rush feast, and Ruben Baines and just end the game, man. I was very disappointed in Notre Dame's offensive line. Notre Dame is typically known for having one of the best offensive lines in the country. So when you look at that, they couldn't block anything. And Ruben Bain had a 94 PFF grade. And I saw on X that Notre Dame's 2 of their offensive linemen had a 19 grade and a 10 grade, which is absolutely unexcusable. So when you look at that, man, that is definitely very disappointing from a Notre Dame fan standpoint. Notre Dame just didn't look that great. I mean, the defense is a very good defense, you could tell. But offensively, when Love's only averaging 3.3 yards per carry, and you only fed Price 6 times, he averaged 45 yards, or he had 45 yards. I thought they would have fed him a little more. I felt like they kind of gave up on the run game, which is very weird. And they did not really give Carr a chance to really let it rip until the end of the game. It was a very weird offensive performance from Notre Dame. And, I'm looking forward to see them play Texas A&M because that's really where you'll see where they're at. Will they bounce back after that Hurricanes L? And will they come back and beat Texas A&M at home in South Bend? Or will they drop another game and essentially eliminate themselves for the playoffs? Because if they do not win, if they lose to Texas A&M, man, that is a bad loss for them, as they are not in a conference. So they are going to have to claw and scrape their way out of that hole that they're going to put themselves in. So that's going to be a very big game coming up in a couple weeks. But I'm excited to see how Notre Dame gets better over the course of the year because you can see that there is a lot of potential with that team. They just need to get it together. Another team that we will be talking about is the University of South Florida, man. We got to give the Bulls some credit. We got to talk about some non-power four ball for a second here. The Bulls look pretty darn good against the Boise State Broncos here. Biden Brown was absolutely incredible to watch. The defense though, that was the main takeaway from my game, in my opinion. When you look at it, the defense only allowed 7 points, and the 7 points are when they went for it on the 30-yard line and they got stuffed. So look at that. You see that. The defense looked absolutely incredible. They were swarming, and Boise could not do anything. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass the ball. Max Masson looked lost. So, you look at all that. You got to be impressed with Boise State's performance, and in my opinion, they have to be the favorites right now to be the G5 playoff team, man. They got to be the favorite to make the playoff out of that little group. I don't think that we will get a Mountain West playoff team. I think it will be American this year, and I do think it could be between them and Tulane. It's going to be very interesting to see what team takes that step because there are some good teams in the G5, man, and I think that the Bulls could finally make that push, man. Coach Golish is in his 3rd year, and I think that what he's building at USF is going to be very good. I could potentially see them join a Power 5 program soon because the Bulls are definitely on the up, and that was just a big win. And now they have a real test this weekend versus the Florida Gators. I'm super excited to watch that. It's going to be very, very fun. We also got to talk about LSU Clemson, though. I don't know how I missed this game, but LSU Clemson, man, that was a game. I love that after the game, or I think yesterday, Dabo Swinney was like, I graded us a 58, I graded them a 68. And then when you look at it, you're like, bro, come on. But I actually kind of agree with the statement, and Brian Kelly clapped back at him. It was super funny, but I do think that I kind of understand what Dabo's saying is I don't think that we played our best game, and I don't think that they played their best game, which is completely true. When you look at the offenses, Cade Klubnik only scored 10 points at home. That is not very good, man. I've noticed with Clemson over the last couple of years, they've had some inconsistencies, man. They've had some weeks where they look really good, and they've had some games where they just could not get it going to Cade, and that's exactly what happened. Cade just could not get it going whatsoever. He's very talented, you can tell, but they were limiting him. The LSU defense looked absolutely incredible, and they were not making anything easy. Clemson was having to fight for every single yard. On the other side of the ball, though, Garrett Nussmeier looked very composed. He looked very, very good. He made some very incredible plays. He would have had another touchdown, but unfortunately got called back. But he played very smart, man. He was a very good quarterback, and I'm excited to see how he continues to get better over the course of the year. Nussmeier was my number 1 quarterback heading into the year. It's between him and Sellers, man. I think that those guys could potentially win the Heisman, and I'm excited to see which one really, really steps up because it's going to be an incredible season from LSU, man. The Tigers are always fun to watch. Nussmeier has been incredible, and I'm excited to see what he continues to do for the Tigers this season. I mean, you look at it, you see what he can do. He's so talented. He has some of the best fundamentals in the game in college. So, if he translates that, he is going to be an absolute problem. The game that we will talk about from the last week's recap is UNC versus TCU, man. Oh my gosh, that was bad. That was bad. Chapel Bill gets smoked in his first game. That was a disgusting performance from them. They got murdered. They got absolutely smoked. And then when you look at it, you see a couple things. You see this team does not look like a Bill Belichick coach team. They're not tackling well. They're not making all the right plays that usually the Bill Belichick led teams make. They look like a completely different squad, to be honest with you. And I don't know what it was. They went out there and scored. They got the stop, and then they get the ball back. TCU gets a stop, and then after that, it was just straight avalanche. It was an avalanche. And TCU's quarterback, man, got to give credit where credit is due. That brother was cooking. He had a heck of a game. And the running back, man, number 2 on TCU, he is lightning in a bottle. He is fast, and he's big. He's a big running back. He's physical, and he was just gone, man. He took that 75-yard to the house. He was dominant all game long. And after that, the coach was like, all right, you're good, man. We're whooping him. We're whooping him. We're giving him a can of whoop ass. And, you don't even need to play. You don't even need to play anymore, brother. You don't even need to play. You're good. And TCU, man, Sonny Dykes coached a heck of a game. And TCU is a team to look out for in the Big 12, man. That wide open Big 12. It's wide open every year. Arizona State didn't look the best on Saturday. You look Kansas State, who has been very inconsistent. You got Utah, who is the favorite right now. So we will see who is going to win that Big 12. It's always a fun race in the Big 12. But man, TCU definitely looked very interesting, and they should be a team to watch when Big 12 play starts. I'm super pumped up because that conference is going to be a lot of fun. Now, though, we are going to talk about next week, man. We have some good matchups, or this upcoming weekend, week 2, we have some very good matchups. We got to start with where game day is. Michigan, Oklahoma, John Mateer versus Michigan. Bryce Underwood making his first big start at the University of Michigan. The guy they paid all that money for. How will Bryce perform, man? I think that Bryce will play a very good game, but I got to back the Sooners here. I think the Sooners will win this game. They are at home. John Mateer is an absolute unit. He is older. I think that Bryce still needs to, get more comfortable with Michigan, get a little more comfortable with the game. But man, John Mateer is an absolute dog. He is a weapon. And that Oklahoma team is actually pretty good this year. So should be pretty interesting to see. Coach Venables has got the boys together, and I got to think that Oklahoma beats Michigan here. Michigan does look all right, though, so we should have a good game on our hands. SEC versus Big Ten. It's going to be a fun one down in Norman. I'm super pumped up for that one. But now, let's talk Iowa State, man. Really quick. I'm not the most familiar with these two teams. I've watched a decent amount of Iowa State, but I haven't really tuned into too much Iowa as of recent. So I can only go with what I know. And I do like Iowa State a lot. I like Rocco Beck. I think Rocco Beck is a very solid quarterback. They have Hanson at running back. They have some other key players. Losing out on those 2 NFL receivers definitely does hurt. But I do think that they are a solid team. Iowa always has a defense. We know that with Iowa. We know they're always going to have an elite defense. The question is, can the offense get going, and will the offense get going? That's a question that we are going to have to answer here. And I'm very, very interested to see that battle between Rocco Beck and the Iowa defense. Who will win that is who will win the game easily. Whoever wins that matchup easily wins this game, and I'm very excited to see who does that because this is a rivalry game. I didn't know how much these fan bases and these teams really hate each other until I woke up one day on X, and I just started scrolling X one day, and I see all these just crazy, outlandish stuff said by these fan bases. I'm like, oh, I did not know they got down like that. These teams hate each other, hate each other's guts. This is going to be a heck of a game. Super pumped up for them, man. Let's talk about Florida and USF really quick. All right, so this is a big game in my opinion. You know why? We didn't get to see Florida versus Long Island, man. Long Island, I think I could have played for Long Island. If we're being truthfully honest, Long Island was not the best football team. The Gators are an SEC competition. No disrespect to Long Island. I mean, they are all those guys are talented, but the Gators are an SEC program who's ranked top 15 in the country. I mean, I expect them to win that game, and, it wasn't really close, so we didn't really get to see too much from Florida. We didn't get to see too much. I wanted to see a little more out of DJ Lagway. He looked rusty. I wanted to see a little more out of the boys. I mean, we saw Vernell Brown. We saw the woo, but, we didn't really get the chance to really see the team, So I'm excited to see these teams actually play. Florida is going to play a team that just beat ranked Boise State. I know Boise is not Florida by any means, but, USF gave them a whooping. So USF looked very, very good. They have a squad. They have some talent on their team. This should be an interesting test for Florida, man. How will Bynum Brown play versus this Florida Gators defense? How will DJ Lagway look versus this Bulls team? I'm very excited. This is one of the premier group of 5 programs in all of college football. So, you get to watch those match up, and this is going to be a big measuring stick because then the next week after, USF plays Miami. So you'll get to see where both those teams are at playing USF, compared to each other. And then they play Gators and Miami for the week after. So you get to see all that. It's going to be awesome with the measuring stick there. And then you get some fun matchups, man. Biden and Brown is super fun to watch. DJ Lagway is super fun to watch. This is a big game in my opinion. You get to see where both these teams are at. I expect the Gators to win this game, but I do believe that USF can keep this game close and they can keep this as a fun game. And I want to see a fun game. USF always plays these teams that are ranked really, really well. I would not be surprised if we're at halftime and this game is close. So we are going to see a fun one, hopefully, in the Swamp. This should be a heck of a game. The game of the week that we are going to talk about is going to be Illinois versus Duke. All right, let me get this out the way. I've not watched either team this year. I've seen Illinois. I've seen them play. They're building a culture there, and they're obviously pretty darn good. They're ranked, 11th in the country. They're pretty good. You got Duke on the other hand. You got Manny Diaz, who led Duke and, really has transformed Duke as of recent. Duke's football team's getting a lot better, and they are starting to become a team in the ACC. So I'm very excited to see those two matchups. It should be a fun one, man. It should definitely be a very, very fun game. You have Duke, you have the new quarterback, you have all that going for you, but can Duke take down the Big Ten? ACC versus Big Ten, this should be an interesting game. 2.5-point spread. What do they know? Is Duke going to pull off the upset here? This should be a very good game. I don't really have too much to say besides that. I don't really know what the game's going to come down to, but it's going to be a fun one, man. I'm super pumped up because this should be a very good weekend of college football. There's not too many crazy games. Last week, we definitely got spoiled, but there's some games you definitely want to watch to, kind of get a look at these teams and kind of see where they're at. Some teams that didn't perform well last week, you want to see they bounce back. You also want to see, all right, this team just got a big win. How are they going to come out and respond? You definitely want to see all that. You don't want to see teams locking off. So it's a big week for college football. I don't care who they're playing because each team has they have their own mission and they have to accomplish it this week. And I'm super pumped up for some college football. But now it is time for the cane, baby. NFL is king and NFL is back. We start off with the Eagles versus Cowboys on Thursday. By the time this come out, I don't know if this will come out after the game, before the game, but this will come out. And I don't know who wins. If I'm being honest with you, I could see the Cowboys playing upset to the Eagles, but I got to go with the Eagles, man. The Eagles' trenches are dominant. The Cowboys haven't been able to stop the run in years. So, we will see how this game turns out. It's how Saquon Barkley does this year. That's going to be the interesting fact. If Saquon can stay healthy, this Eagles team should be good. But if Saquon starts getting hurt, man, I don't know what's going to happen to this Eagles team, man. It feels like Super Bowl hangover could happen, but I don't know. Jalen Hurts is really locked in. You have all that. You have the weapons on the outside. You have a elite offense. Then you look at the defense. Super young defense. I think they're all younger than 25. You have all-pro linebacker. You have safeties. You have corners that are very, very good. You obviously have a monster on the defensive line in Carter. You have Dean. You have all these guys. You have Davis. You have just a bunch of guys. You have the whole Georgia defense, essentially, that were just the most ridiculous thing ever in college. You have all these guys together. The Eagles should be able to be okay next year, or this upcoming year, and they should be a very good football team, and they probably will beat the Cowboys, but I don't know, man. 8 points at home. I think I take the Eagles to win easily, but should be a good game, though, because Dak Prescott is coming back for the Cowboys, man. You got Pickens, you got CeeDee Lamb. So when you look at those teams, you're going to see a very interesting matchup. This game is definitely going to be won between the defensive line of the Eagles and the offensive line of the Cowboys. If the defensive line of the Eagles can get pressure on Dak, the Cowboys are going to be in a wall because their run game should not be that good this year. But hey, if the offensive line can give Dak some time, they should be able to make some magic happen here, and they should be able to cook up something. But this should be a very interesting game to see where the Cowboys are at, man. Because the Cowboys have definitely had an interesting offseason, trading away Micah Parsons, hiring Schottenheimer as their head coach. Jerry Jones is only getting older. So we're going to get to see really where this Cowboys team is at for this upcoming season. Another very good game, though, is going to be a AFC West game. Where's our Chargers-Chiefs really quick? When you look at this game, you see two things. You see Justin Herbert versus Patrick Mahomes. Justin Herbert always plays the Chiefs very, very well in his career. The games come down to, crazy moments, crazy stuff happen. And what will happen here in Brazil, man? You look at Brazil, last year's game was crazy. Will anything happen? I don't know, man. I just don't see the Chiefs coming out there and losing after that embarrassing Super Bowl performance. I think they're fired up. I think they're ready. But the Chargers, man, they have their best running back that they've had with Justin Herbert. They also have They also added receivers. They added Keenan Allen back. Ladd McConkey's only going to get better. They are doing all that good stuff, and the defense is going to continue to improve. You got Derwin James leading that. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Look at the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh's second year, John, whatever. The Harbaugh second year, man. Harbaugh second year. You look at that, and you're like, all right. You see all that, and he's a winner. All he does is win. So this should be a very good game. Andy Reid versus Harbaugh. It's gonna be fun. Sunday slate has some other very good games. You got Falcons Bucks. Falcons Bucks, in my opinion, is one of the more intriguing games of Sunday because you look at it, you see, all right, the Bucks have won the division for 5 years in a row, 4 years in a row. So you see all that. And the question is, are they just going to keep reigning dominant in this division, or will the Falcons finally take that step with their second-year quarterback, Michael Penix Jr.? I'm a big Michael Penix Jr. truther. You have Drake London. You have Bijan Robinson, some of the most explosive weapons in football. You have probably the most explosive tight end in football, Kyle Pitts, so they can get him involved. You also have a solid offensive line. I know they have some injuries, but they are still a solid unit. Then the defense. The defense is getting better. So will this be the year that they make the step and the Falcons can take down the Bucks? This is going to be interesting to watch, man, because last year they took them down, and they finished one game short of the Bucks. But will they be able to take the division back and reclaim the throne? This is going to be a very important game, but you also get to see where the Bucks are at, man. The Bucks are getting older. You obviously got Baker Mayfield, quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in football. You have Bucky Irvin, a young second-year running back who's supposed to be a star, in my opinion. You have Mike Evans, who's only getting older. Chris Godwin's hurt. You have Emeka Egbuka, first-round pick. Then defensively, you got Vita Vea. You're also missing out on Tristan Wirfs, by the way. That is a key mention. One of the best linemen in football is going to be out for a little while. So that is definitely a big impact. But then, look defensively, and you see that they're getting older. Levante David is only getting so much older. The secondary is only getting so much older. And how is this team really going to respond? It's going to be very interesting to see that and how this team performs, because the Bucks have really had a chokehold on the division. But will the division start to flip, man? Will it start to flip? You got the Panthers starting to get better. You have the Falcons, who I think could contend and possibly win this division this year. And then, those teams are really in the mix there. I would say the Saints, but the Saints just, I don't know what's going on there. It's a dumpster fire over there. So you have some teams that are making that push. Will the Bucks keep the throne? This is going to be a big game to see where both teams are at. I'm super pumped up because, man, this is going to be a fun one. I love both quarterbacks. I love both teams. It's going to be a barn burner here, and man, I'm excited. I got to go with the Bucks, though. I think the Bucks do keep it, but man, the Falcons could surprise a lot of people this year, and they could be a playoff team in my opinion. Also, I have Dolphins Colts. You have the Dolphins. Everybody's talking about them in a negative light. They are fully healthy as of right now. The secondary is what it is. But then you also have that elite front seven that the Miami Dolphins have versus a Colts team that no one is really talking about. The only thing that they talked about is Anthony Richardson versus Daniel Jones. I haven't heard a peep about the Colts this offseason. So, Jonathan Taylor, they obviously have Quentin Nelson. They have the team. How is this game going to go? I have no idea how this game is going to go. It's going to be a fun one. It's really another game where you get to gauge where these teams are at, because I have a lot of people say the Dolphins are going to suck this year. But when you look at the Dolphins team on paper, I am a Dolphins fan. Got to say that. The Dolphins team is better than last year. They are a lot better than last year. The front seven is one of the best in football. So really the matchup is going to be between the Colts offensive line and the front seven of the Miami Dolphins. Who wins that matchup is who wins the game, because the Dolphins defensive line can dominate the game, stop Jonathan Taylor, make Daniel Jones convert third and longs. This is going to be a long game for the Colts. I think the Dolphins offense will get going. I think that Tyreek Hill, Tua in a dome week 1. Come on, guys. Come on. This is the Dolphins' bread and butter here. Early game versus a defense that I don't know too much about. You got to go with the Dolphins here. I think the Dolphins do win this game, but this should be a very fun game. Another very fun game is going to be Aaron Rodgers playing his old team, the Jets. Aaron Glenn pretty much kicked him out and said, "We don't want you here. We don't want you here. Go somewhere else. You're negative to the team." And now Aaron Rodgers is on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And how will he play as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers? This is going to be a fun game, man. Super pumped up for it. We should get a beautiful game. How will Aaron Rodgers look? How will DK Metcalf look? How will Jalen Ramsey look? It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a good game. And, I got to go with the Steelers here. The defense is going to give Justin Fields some problems. Justin Fields also playing his old team. Forgot about that. You have Justin Fields playing his old team. You got Garrett Wilson out there. I do think that Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson will get going, but I do think that the Steelers defense will give that Jets offense problems. And, the Jets also have a unit. They have Sauce Gardner. They have Quinn Williams. They have Quincy Williams. They have some players. They have some players there. So don't get me wrong. Jermaine Johnson. I like what the Jets are doing, and this should be a very, very good game. This game could go either way, in my opinion, but I do think that the Steelers will win with Aaron Rodgers in a close one. I do think that that is going to be one of the best games of the week. Another very good game, though. Another game we got to talk about. Another game we got to talk about is obviously Sunday Night Football, Ravens-Bills. Ravens-Bills is going to be a fun one. It's going to be awesome. I got to go with the Ravens off rip. I do like what the Ravens are doing. I think they got better, whereas the Bills just kind of stayed stagnant. You know, we know how talented Josh Allen is. Don't get me wrong. We know how good Josh Allen is, but they really haven't given him an alpha receiver ever since Diggs left, and that's definitely disappointing because if they give him that, he would just be unstoppable. But the Ravens, man, the Ravens are just going to be dominant on the ground. I mean, they added Joey Bosa to the Bills, but the Ravens improved their offensive line. You know, they added Malachi Starks. This team should be a threat. Super excited to see this game. This game is going to be fun. This could be a potential AFC championship matchup. I like both these teams. I do think that the Ravens get done. I think the Ravens are the team to beat in the AFC as of right now. And we get to see Lamar Jackson, man. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, the guy that just doesn't age, Derrick. You get to see, the defense. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun game. I'm super pumped up for Sunday Night Football. When Carrie Underwood sings, I've been waiting all day for Sunday night, you know it's on, and you get a big matchup between two juggernauts in the AFC. We're also going to talk about some of the 4 o'clock games. We're going to talk about the Rams versus Texans because this is another important game. You look at the Rams. The Rams have Matthew Stafford, who has been in a cryo chamber. We don't know what's going on with him, but they have so much talent. The defense is young, and they are hungry. Jared Verse is a damn canine dog. He just does what he wants. No team can stop him. He is a unit. You have Fisk. You have Byron Young. You have a lot of guys that are studs. You have a lot of guys that are studs out there. And you look at the Texans. The Texans offensive line, it's the worst offensive line that they've had in forever. Trading away Laramie Tunsil, and now that's what they're stuck with for their franchise quarterback. And now Joe Mixon gets hurt. You're now with Nick Chubb and Woody Marks. You have Nico Collins as the one offensive player that he has really played with. And Dalton Schultz. How is this going to go down? How is the Texans team going to look? And how is this Rams team going to look? Two teams that, that should win their division, in my opinion. But how is each team going to look here? That's going to be very interesting to see. I look at the Texans, and I see them as this front runner in the division, but I just don't see them making a significant playoff push. The offensive line isn't good enough. The defense is going to be very good, though. They're led by Will Anderson. They have Stingley. They have some players on their defense that are very, very good. But I just can't see this team making a run without the offensive line. In January, in February, I just don't see them winning a game without a solid offensive line. But the offensive line overperforms. Maybe they could make that push, but we shall see. The receiving core without Tank Dell is very interesting. We have Christian Kirk and a bunch of rookies there. So Nico Collins should have a damn year. This is going to be fun, man. The Rams, though, adding Devontae Adams, it's just bread. It's just adding butter to the bread, man. It's adding butter to the bread. You get to watch all that. That is going to be a very fun offense. Puka Nacua finally takes that step as the first receiver. We never seen Devontae Adams in a while. Was it a receiver too? We're going to get to see that now, and it is going to be an absolute blast, man. Super excited for that game. I'm also super excited for Bears-Vikings. There's a lot of questions to answer in that game. You look at the Bears, you look at the Vikings. The Bears are coming off last year where they had a lot of close losses. They lost to a Hail Mary. They lost to a what else did they lose to? They lost to a blocked field goal. They lost to not calling timeouts. They lost in a plethora of ways last season. And how will this respond? They lost to not being able to get an onside kick. Like, how is this going to happen? How are the Bears going to do this year? Are the Bears going to have good clock management? Are the Bears going to actually be coached? Or is the offense going to show up? We have a lot of questions that we're going to be answered on the Bears side of the ball. Caleb Williams, how's the number 1 pick Caleb Williams going to look? How is he going to look from last season? Is he going to be improved? Is he going to look better? Is he not going to hold on the ball as much as possible? Is he going to take less sacks? The offensive line's improved. There's a lot of stuff that will be answered in this game. You also look at the Vikings side of the ball, though. You look at the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy, first NFL regular season start. That is big. On Monday Night Football in Soldier Field, hostile territory, that is a tough environment to play in. Chicago has never had hope like this in a while. Let's be honest. They haven't had hope like this in a while. You see all this. The Bears have all this media. They have all this hype. How's this game going to go? You look at the Vikings defense, elite, led by Brian Flores, one of the best defense coordinators in the game. Probably the best. One of the best. He's one of the best. And you look at him versus Ben Johnson. That is where the matchup will be decided. The chess match between those two is going to be cinema. You get Brian Flores calling the defense, and you get Ben Johnson. Who is going to win that matchup? Whoever wins that matchup will win this game easily, and it's going to be a fun one. The Bears defense versus the Vikings offense. They're both going to make big plays, but the game will be won between the Bears offense and the Vikings defense. Whoever wins that Ben Johnson Brian Flores matchup will win the game. It's going to be awesome. I'm expecting the Bears to win. I think the Bears will win this game, though. I think Ben Johnson will get a very, very close W in this game. I think that Caleb Williams will put together a solid performance. I think J.J. McCarthy might struggle a little in his first NFL start. It's a tough game to play in. Debut football. Rookies, I'm considering him a rookie because he's never started an NFL game. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And we shall see. I mean, he has Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in football. But how will this game play out? There's only one way to see, and that's to wait till Monday night, man. Well, games that we will talk about. We'll talk about the Packers and Lions really quick, and then we'll finish up with the 49ers. The 49ers and the Seahawks. Packers, Lions. You look at this game. Micah Parsons just got traded to the Packers. Who is going to be the dominant team in the NFC North? The hardest division in football. Who will win? All that good stuff. How will the Lions look without Ben Johnson? A lot of questions will be answered. There's a lot of questions this weekend. That's what I love about the first weekend of NFL football. Look at the Lions team. Look at the team. You're returning Aiden Hutchinson. You're returning a lot of defensive players that got hurt. You also are returning majority of your offense besides your star center, man. You lose on Frank Ragnow, and that is definitely going to hurt you. That is definitely going to hurt you because he is a stud center that he just retired, man. So you lose out on him. You're going to have a couple rookies on the offensive line, I'm pretty sure. Then you also are dealing with a new offensive coordinator. Guys, he hasn't called plays. He's under Ben Johnson, but you're dealing with all that. So how will this offense look without Ben Johnson? That is a question that we have to answer. I think they will, pick up right where they left off, and I think that they will be fine. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an absolute monster. You also have Gibbs and Montgomery. The run game should be there. You have Penny Sewell, one of the best offensive linemen in football. Decker is very good. You have a team. You have a very good team on the Lions. The defense should be back to where they were. And the Packers, man. The Packers defense should be phenomenal this year. You got Micah Parsons. You have all that young talent on the defense. And then you look at the Packers offense. You have a bunch of number 2 receivers as your number ones. Will Matthew Golden step up and be that alpha for them? That is a question that will be answered. Then you also have, Josh Jacobs, the dominant running game. The Packers, man, this should be a very interesting game to see where the NFC North hierarchy is. You look at both these teams, this is going to be a good matchup. Super pumped up. I have no idea who's going to win this game. I'm not even going to try and tell you I have an idea because this game should be a very, very close game. And I don't know who's going to win this game. If I'm being honest with you, it's going to be tough and it's going to be a great one. And it's going to really see who is the king of the NFC North as of right now. Last game is obviously the Seahawks and the 49ers. The reason that I chose to highlight this game is simple because look at this game. The 49ers have ran the NFC West forever, it feels like. It feels like they have been the team there, and it's time. It's time where they are starting to, they're starting to digress, and other teams are starting to step up, and will the Seahawks knock them off? They just paid Sam Darnold. They have the defense. Mike McDonald is an absolute genius running the defense. You also have Jackson Smith, Cooper Kupp. You have a team. The offensive line, I'm pretty sure, improved. Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. Will this team be able to, claim hierarchy? Will they be able to take down the 49ers that ran the division forever, feels like, went to multiple Super Bowls? Will they be able to take that team down, or will the 49ers start out with a W and continue their reign and, really get momentum rolling in the season? Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, George Kittle. Will these guys, go into the season with a W, or will they start with an L, man? Because that NFC West is a very interesting division. I mean, you have all 4 teams, and all 4 teams could win the division. You have the Niners, the Rams, you have the Cardinals, and you have the Seahawks, and all 4 teams could contend for that division, but it depends how they look coming out the gate. So we will see, man. That's going to be a very good matchup. I'm very excited for it, and it's going to be a very, very good opening week of football. Our last segment is obviously going to be the dogs of the week, man. We have to go over my top 5 dogs of the week. We have some honorable mentions really quick. First honorable mention is Malachi Toney from the University of Miami, 17 years old, Miami's leading receiver and a big upset. You got to go with him. And you also got to go with Vernell Brown, one-hander. You got to mention that. Man. You got to mention that. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. And you also got to mention the Cal freshman quarterback. I think his name is JSN or JKS, whatever his name is. He was an absolute dog, man. He looked incredible as a freshman. He looked like a lefty. He was just slinging it. He was so much fun to watch. So you got to give those guys shouts for dogs of the week. Also, Kyle Schwarber, man. I'm just going with college football on this one. But Kyle Schwarber has to be mentioned on this 4 home run game. Come on, man. Dog of the week. He has to be mentioned. All right, let's get into the dog of the week. Let's get into the dog of the week, man. So for my first dog of the week is going to be a guy from the Miami Hurricanes. Going to be a guy, Ruben Bain. You guys saw the notes. You guys had to see the notebook. If you didn't see the notebook, it's definitely on your screen right here, whatever it is. It's on there. It's on there. You can read that. This dude did not like Notre Dame. He did not like Notre Dame, and he was willing to do whatever to beat them, and that's dog mentality. He made plays. He had interception. He had multiple pressures. He had a sack. I'm pretty sure he had tackles for loss. He was everywhere in a 94 grade. He was a dog, and he led the Miami defense to that win. He led Miami to that win. That his heroics on that last drive, he was unblockable, and he gave these Notre Dame offensive linemen nightmares. They will be remembering this in their sleep. They'll be getting PTSD about this. They're not playing. They're not going to forget this. They're not going to forget what Ruben Bain did to him. Ruben Bain deserves to be on this dog of the week list. Next guy is going to be Bynum Brown from USF. We're going to go with USF here because, he played great. He had a couple big runs. He had a couple big plays. He looked the part. He made some big throws, and he led USF to a ranked win over Boise. They finally got the ranked W. We know how good Bynum Brown is, and he finally played, and he showed it. I hope to see him on dog of the week more often. Next guy will be Tommy Castellanos. If there was a rank for these guys, there's no rank for these guys, but he would be number one. He didn't put the best stats. He didn't outshine these guys statistically. But you know what? The fact that I'm a Hurricanes fan, first of all, I have to respect it because he talked all that. He talked all that crap, and he's like, yeah, they don't have Nick Saban. They don't have all that. You got to respect it. He literally talked all that. He talked the talk, and he walked the walk, and he helped his team defeat ranked number 8 Alabama at home at Doak. That deserves respect. You got to give respect where respect's due for this week. Tommy Castellanos deserves to be on the dog of the week. He is one of the dogs of the week for that, man. Guy backed it up. He talked his talk, and you got to respect that. He played great. He had a couple big throws, one to Squirrel White. He had a couple big runs on third down, and he did not let the game get out of control. He played very, very efficient, very smart, and it's going to be super fun to watch FSU this year. I hope, as a Hurricanes fan, I hope that they win and go undefeated till they play Miami so we can get a big-time rivalry game. College game day, everything there. It would be fun, man. It would be good for the game of football. So Tommy Castellanos has to be on this list. Our next guy is going to be Lanoris Sellers. Lanoris Sellers is a dog. He might be on this list every single week, even with NFL, because once you start going to NFL, this is going to be a very hard list to get on, but he might be on here every single week. He's just awesome. He's awesome. He runs you over. He's Cam Newton. Anthony Richardson. He's all of that, man. He's so much fun to watch. He is diverse. He can do it all. He has a beautiful arm. People don't talk about it, but his arm is good. He has very good anticipation, very good accuracy. He threw a couple threads this week, and he doesn't really make too many mistakes, man. He's very smart with the football. He's getting smarter every single week, and he is going to be a guy to look out for this season. And our last dog of the week has to go Nussmeier, man. Nussmeier went into enemy territory, went into Death Valley, said, yeah, it's not Death Valley. That's fake Death Valley. And he went in there and he beat the Clemson. He beat them, and that is just... That in itself, he had dog, he made great plays, he played best when it mattered most, and he got a W, man. He came out and got the W, got a ranked W, and got his team ranked in the top 5. Good for LSU, man. They looked phenomenal, and Garrett Nussmeier has to be on this dog of the day or dog of the week list. That is going to be the dogs of the week right there. I appreciate the heck out of you guys. If you guys watched my first episode of the Sports for Casual show, it'd mean the absolute world to me if you guys can click that subscribe button, comment any recommendations or feedback down below, and just talk to me. Make sure to follow the socials, make to interact with me. I'm trying to get people on. Maybe I can get you on one day. Maybe we can have a bunch of fans on here, some people on here, different sports teams, see how that's like. It's going to be fun, man. I'm super excited for this show, and it's going to be awesome, but I appreciate the heck out of you guys. Until next time, I will see you.